am going to start a new project. And this time I am actually using a pattern. I hardly ever use a pattern, and the president of our quilt guild challenged us to do something that we normally don't do. And I normally don't pick out all my fabrics at the beginning, cut all the squares, cut all the strips, and put them into little bags and label them. I never do that. So I'm going to do that as something new for me. So that's going to be my new thing for this project. And I downloaded a pattern from the internet, from the Modern Quilt Guild. The sew along this year is called Crisscross Chain. And if you are a member of the Modern Quilt Guild, you get the pattern for free. I'm going to challenge myself making this because there's lots of corners that need to be cut evenly, and there's lots of color placement that needs to be put in the correct places. So that's a hard thing for me to do because I like just freewheeling it and doing what I want to do. So I'm doing it slightly differently because another goal I have this year is not to buy fabric. I am going to use things that I've got. And believe me, I've got lots of things, but I have to organize them. And this is the year I'm going to organize them. I've spent the month of March moving my sewing room from a smaller space to a bigger space. And I have half of the rec room in our basement now. And I've got lots of space. I just haven't quite organized it all yet. But I've got everything in here. I'm going to get a bit more exercise than I was getting. And I've done a whole lot of new things. So I'm going to do kind of the same colorway that this modern gal did. Wendy Chow is her name. But I'm going to do mine using smaller pieces, not solids. I'm going to use what I've got, which are a lot of patterns and a lot of little pieces. So it's going to take me quite a while to cut the squares and cut the pieces that I need. I can't just sort of slap it up on the wall and decide I'm going to put something here and put something there and put something there. So they're all going to be quite small pieces, I think. So I might regret this, but I think I'll be all right. So there are 5 different fabrics in this particular quilt. I didn't have to pick same colors, but I kind of like the color choices, and it's spring, even though we have snow on the ground still. It's spring and the sun is shining a bit more, and I have a bit of a window over there so I can see outside. So I decided I was going to actually make it in similar colors. So I picked out of the bins and buckets that I've got and things that I've just moved, colors that I think are going to work. And I have to have enough to start with in order to proceed, because I said I don't want to go out and buy fabric. So I think I found enough to make a nice quilt. So the first color I really wanted to pick out were these orange squares because they stand out quite a bit. And I looked on the pattern to see how big the squares were, and they're less than 2 inches. So I went through my scrap bins and I found enough pieces to get me the required amount that I need for this quilt. And the quilt finishes 75 inches square. So I needed to have quite a few pieces. And the way that I choose things is I take a photograph of it and then I turn it into a black and white scale. And that way I can tell that the values are similar enough for me that I can use it as the same color for the quilt. So when I'm picking the colors, I just look at the amount of fabric that I need and I look at the values. So that's why that black and white photograph is so important. Picking the lights and the darks are the easiest things. You just have to have enough of that fabric. But when you get to those light peachy colors and pink colors, that value becomes really important. So when I'm picking colors from my collection of scraps, anything that I can use a small pattern will give me a lot of variety. So for one of those two lighter peachy pinky colors, I'm going to pick a selection of little prints. And here are a variety of little prints. Now one of them is a bit peachier and it's got some yellow and blue in it. The rest are all quite uniform in their appearance. And they're going to become one of the main colors that I use. Those selection of pinky colors right there are going to be the other selection that I use for that mid-tone. It just has to have enough difference from the dark red that I'm choosing. And whenever I'm making something out of scraps, the nice thing is you never really run out of scraps. You can always, if you run out of the ones that you've got cut, you can always find something that's going to be acceptable to mix in with the rest of those things. So the purpose of this little video is not to follow a pattern or show you how to follow a pattern, but I wanted to just show you how you can substitute what you have already without going out to purchase something. I like the idea of using my own individuality and picking things that I have. I really like the fact that I can choose. I don't like to buy a pattern, buy the fabric exactly as recommended. I like to have a bit of a surprise and find what it's going to look like at the end. I think that's really exciting to have a little surprise as a gift at the end of making your quilt. So make some choices. Use that grayscale. I hope you have some fun making your quilts. See you next time. Bye.